I'm just gonna. Okay, so continuing with the duties of the heart, gate of trust, and we are going to share the screen over here. Go through the next of the 7 factors that are listed as necessary for being able to trust somebody. And we are right here. Pull this up. Okay, so we're up to number 4 over here. He knows the ways in which the interests of the one who trusts in him can be served. He is never unaware of what is beneficial to him, inwardly or outwardly, and of what can improve his condition. So we can definitely relate to a situation where we know someone, let's say they're in difficulty, we want to help them find a job, they have a health issue, they want to find the shidduch, they want to find a mate in life, and we want to help them. So we have the compassion, empathy, and love. We have the knowledge so we have the interest that we actually not going to disregard them, and we're not going to neglect the person's wishes. We could be very strong and be able to follow through. But the question is, do we know how to help? And that is something that is really limited in our ability to help somebody. So it's a very high standard he's setting over here. In Hebrew, it's Yodei ba'ifnei ha'toeles. He knows the ways in which to help him, and it's not concealed from him what's good for him or what's necessary for him externally and internally, and what can improve his condition. So then he continues, if he does not know all this, the soul of the one who trusts in him cannot be at ease, because the fact that he's loving, he is follows through, and he has the strength is not going to make a difference if he doesn't know what to do. But if he has all these qualities, knowledge of the ways to his well-being, ability to act on them, the governance of them, meaning the strength to be able to take action, and empathy, governance over them, meaning to say, that's the number 2, that's his governing himself to be paying attention, and empathy, then one's trust in him will undoubtedly be strengthened. So this is the 4th quality we're looking for in someone that we could trust. So we can start to realize that the mistake that we make is we start to think, well, when we come to trusting God, we start to thinking to ourselves, well, I don't know really if he knows what I need, right? So each one of these is challenging us to really look and see, and we're going to continue once we get through these 7, we'll continue with the application to the various teachings that show us that God fulfills all these 7, but we need to understand what we're looking for here. Number 5, the one who trusts is under the exclusive care of the one in whom he trusts, from the very beginning of his existence, in infancy, childhood, youth, manhood, and old age, to the end of his days. When the one who trusts becomes fully aware of this exclusive relationship, it follows that his soul will find tranquility in his protector, and he will rely on him on account of his abundant former favors and continuing support. This will lead to the strengthening of trust in him. So this is a recognition that this has been going on in the past. If someone that comes along and says, you find out, I want to trust this person, what track record does he have? So this is this number 5 is the track record. Number 6 is the affairs of the one who trusts are entirely in the hands of the one in whom he trusts. No one else can harm him or help him, do him good or shield him from injury, as in the case of a slave confined to a prison under the control of his master. When the one who trusts is in the power of the one in whom he trusts in this way, trust in him is more fitting. So, what does this mean, practically speaking? We need to say, if you're going to trust in somebody, we have to exclude that someone else could mess up the trust. Meaning to say, if you're depending on somebody to come and rescue you, you're sitting on a boat and you want this Coast Guard to come and rescue you. Is there anything else? And the Coast Guard, let's just say they love compassion, empathy, they care, they want to show up, they have the strength to show up, they know how to help you, and they have a track record. They've been helping you all along. But the question is there something else that could come along and interfere with the Coast Guard's ability to help you? So for example, if there's a storm that could come along and capsize the boat, God forbid, then the Coast Guard, all the 5 elements that we've listed so far are not going to be helpful. You're not going to be able to trust that the Coast Guard, because there's other forces. There could be many things. So for example, you have weather conditions. You could have, let's say, a whale could come along and knock over a small boat. You could have leaks in the ship, some sort of damage to the ship. You could have be subject to torpedo fire. Then you have the people on the ship. You can have a mutiny on the ship that's going to lead it to person's not going to be there for the Coast Guard to be able to help them. There's many, many other factors. So when a person is going to say, oh, the Coast Guard's on the way, I feel so good now, everything is fine. Well, that's nice, but the fact of the matter is everything's not fine, because the Coast, from that perspective, because the Coast Guard, if you're relying on the Coast Guard cannot make everything fine, because there are many things that could affect a person. So it's not a exclusive ability to help or harm the person is in the hands of the Coast Guard. There are many, many different factors and forces. So the analogy gives is the person imagines a slave that's subject to is now in slave is now in the prison. His masters doesn't decides when he's going to get if he's going to get out at all, what he eats and so forth. There's no other force that come along. Meaning to say, even if there's a large grizzly bear walking through town, that grizzly bear cannot affect the person who's locked up in prison. If there's a mob, the person's locked up in prison, as long as the master doesn't give away the keys or the warden doesn't give away the keys, then he's protected from that. He's protected from anything else. The only person who could affect him for positive or for negative is the master who is in control of this prison. And then element number 7 is the one in whom he trusts is absolutely generous and kind to the deserving as well as to the undeserving. His generosity is perpetual, his kindness continuous, unfailing, uninterrupted. So this is really a huge point over here, which is that the variability of whether or not we are deserving is somebody has a huge ability, a huge impact on whether or not someone is worthy to trust in. Because while the person could be completely loving, compassionate, empathetic, could care and want to follow through, could have the strength to do it, could have a track record, could also be the only one who could affect him and hurt him or help him. And I think I might have skipped and knows what to do, but he knows how to help him. But at the end of the day, let's just say you offended him. You made a mistake. You didn't send him a thank you card. You didn't call him to wish a happy birthday. You maybe did something more offensive, like drove across his lawn or broke some glass, some beautiful special crystal vase that inherited from his, for 5 generations. You would expect that that is going to interrupt the flow of the beneficence that you're looking for. So this is something that we all know, that in our human relationships, we're all imperfect, where someone could be offended by something we said, someone could feel that we didn't follow through enough, didn't show enough appreciation, didn't do a good enough job. And these are all examples of things that can affect the person's willingness to come through for us. They might just say, you know what, I'm done with this person. Maybe it's not permanent, but just for today, I'm not in the mood. Excuse me, I'm not in the mood to help. You know, this is the 5th time that you got yourself a parking ticket or towed or got arrested for something. I'm not coming down to the jail tonight to bail you out. That's would be a typical human reaction. And therefore, we have to understand that we can know, let's say a parent is loving, caring, compassionate, they follow through, and they have the strength to do it. They know how to, have the money to come up with a bail, and they know how to get it done, and they are aware of how to help the person, and they're able to. Well, it's hard to find a human being that we could say they were in the exclusive care of, but they've been helping the person out since their childhood, and they're going to come through, but they're just fed up. So that would lead to the person not actually doing something. So now, if the person is sitting in jail and they can't call up their parent, they don't know if this person is going to come through for them. So this is something that we have to recognize as a quality for us to feel the tranquility of the soul. Remember, the trust is the tranquility of the soul. That I can feel calm and tranquil that I am being taken care of. That's the confidence that there's a personal relationship with someone who is taking care of me. So then he concludes this section over here, and he says, whoever possesses all these qualities, together with all those previously mentioned, meets all the conditions of being worthy of one's trust. One who recognizes this is obligated to put his trust in him, to be tranquil because of him outwardly and inwardly, in his heart and with his limbs, to submit to him, to accept his decrees, and to judge him favorably in all his laws and actions. So he's pointing out over here that if you found such a person who really was taking care of you and was really able to do all this in such a complete way, then you would have to say, listen, this is a person worthy of trusting. So then he starts the next section. He says, when we investigate these 7 conditions, we find none of them in any created being, but we find all of them in the Creator. May he be exalted. So he's making a pretty strong statement over none of them in any created being. And although over this class and the previous class, I've tried to come up with examples of how we can try to emulate some of these 7 elements. But the fact of the matter is, as I pointed out, as I was describing them, they're all imperfect. There is a limit to the amount of compassion, empathy, and love that I will have, the amount that I will follow through. My strength is limited. Knowing, we said right at the beginning of this today, that there's limits in what I know how to help the person. Obviously, I don't have a perfect track record from the beginning of time to taking care of this person who might say, oh, they want to trust me. They want to put their trust in me. I don't have a perfect track record because I haven't been taking care of them. And won't be around to take care of them to the end of the days. Because let's say they're a young person. I think I could be significantly older than them. So how's it even possible to take care of them from the infancy, childhood, youth, manhood, and old age? Parent cannot take care of their child in their child's old age. And how could anyone say that something is completely in their hands, that there's no other force they could possibly have, no other force could possibly cause any positive or negative to that person. The sun could overheat the person. You could have a person, okay, I'm going to create a climate controlled, perfect environment, right? Well, 1 second here. The electricity could go out, the backup generator could go out. There's so many things. There are other factors that can be beyond the person of a person to control, and the ability to shield a person from injury, or to always be doing good for him, or always being protecting him, and so forth. And then 7th is, we are, as all humans, we all have the times when we don't feel in the mood to come through for somebody. You know what? I'm busy. I got other things. I've had enough of this right now. I'm not in the mood, whatever it is. And so really none of these 7 factors are found in human beings. It's not like, okay, 6 are and 1 is not. He's saying, and it's accurate, that we find none of them in any created being. So that's But we're going to see, and we'll continue next week with this, we'll see that what is really, where are these found? This is found in God Almighty, and the Holy One, blessed be He, Creator, may He be exalted. We're going to go through these 7 points in the next pages over here and see how they are found in God Almighty. Any questions? Okay. There being no questions, let's adjourn for today and we'll continue next week. Thank you for joining.